Did you know that Social Security started when the average life expectancy was only 61 years old, yet today it's 76? You combine that with a shrinking worker to recipient ratio and an outdated tax cap, and you've got a recipe for a funding gap. But fixing it might be easier than you think. Let's dive into this. Social Security is a cornerstone of retirement for millions of Americans, but fears about its solvency have left many worried. Today, we're breaking down the history, the challenge, and the simple solutions that could secure the vital program for generations to come. When Social Security began in 1935, life expectancy was only 61 years old, and most people didn't even live long enough to collect benefits. Today, life expectancy is around 76 years, meaning people are collecting benefits for much longer. Back then, there were 42 workers per retiree funding the system. By 1960, it dropped to 5 workers per recipient. And today, it's just 2.7 workers per recipient. But here's the real kicker. The Social Security payroll tax cap hasn't kept pace with those changes. In 1937, 92% of all earnings were taxed for Social Security. But today, due to the cap of $160,000, only 83% of earnings are taxed. That 9% difference is a huge contributor to the funding shortfall, even more than the shrinking worker-recipient ratio. Let's look at some ways that we could fix this. Now, this isn't a political channel, and there's going to be controversy on each of these. Some of these have been proposed by different parties. I'm not here to say this is how it should be done or this is how it should be done, but I want to share some simple solutions with the realization of there is a gap and what the simple solution could be. The first solution could be simply to raise or eliminate the payroll tax cap completely. One of the easiest fixes are eliminating the cap on taxable earnings. For example, if we taxed income above $400,000, we could close over 60% of the projected funding shortfall. This change would ask higher earners to pay more than they're currently paying, aligning with today's income distribution. It's not asking everyday people making $30,000, $40,000, $50,000, $70,000 to pay anything more. They're paying in the amount that they pay in. They're not going to get any more from it. It's just going to ensure the solvency that those who have been paying in can continue to get what they paid in. And high earners of $400,000 or more would continue to pay in that 6.2% of Social Security tax. That's option one. Option two, modestly increase payroll taxes for everybody. So a small increase in the payroll tax rate from 6.2 to 7.2% would spread the responsibility across all workers and employers, stabilizing the system without overburdening anyone. But that still would mean there's a cap that $160,000 and above doesn't pay Social Security. And I know a lot of people may not realize that. If you earn $200,000, you pay 6.2% towards Social Security up to $160,000. $160,000 to $200,000 doesn't pay Social Security. So it is capped. People making $1 million a year, that $160,000 to $1 million are not paying Social Security. So that's why only 83% of income is being taxed versus back in 1935 when it was 92%. That is one option. Modestly increasing the payroll tax is another option. A third option is adjust benefits for higher earners. Gradually reducing benefits for wealthier retirees would ensure that those who depend on Social Security the most are protected, while high earners contribute more to the system's longevity. And I know people will get all up in arms in this. Again, this is just an option. These are just suggestions and options that could help fill the gap. A fourth option would be raise the full retirement age. They've done it before. It used to be 65 and they grandfathered people in, but they raised it to 67 over time. So they could change the retirement gradually from 67 to 69. So you wouldn't get your full retirement, full Social Security benefit until you're 69. Perhaps that would be, and that would reduce some of the strain on the system. How these changes work together: by combining all of these small adjustments, Social Security could remain solvent for the next 75 years or more, ensuring it continues to support future generations. Instead of just doing one of these, if you combined all of them, it provides even greater solvency. Who knows? This isn't for you or I to decide how it'll be solved, but it's something you should think about and voice your concern and your opinions to your representatives. Call or write your congressional leaders, your senators. Let them know what you think and give them input, and say that this is an important thing that you want pushed in an agenda. We need to be involved, because it's not going to change the way we feel it should if we don't get involved. Maybe you have a suggestion that I didn't think of. Put that down in the comments. What's something you think would help solve Social Security and the ensuing lack of funds that may be there? Who knows? There's all sorts of solutions, but something needs to change. But the most compelling fact: if we had maintained the original system of where 92% of all earnings were taxed, the funding gap wouldn't even exist today. The problem was the gap, the tax cap, never kept pace with these changes. Who do you think that benefited over the course of these years? The high earners, the amount they made kept increasing further. It got larger and larger. The gap between the regular workers increased, but the cap on the tax didn't keep pace with that. So they actually earned even more and were taxed even less. If we had kept that pace of 92% of all earnings being taxed, there'd be no funding gap today. See, the mismatch between the payroll tax cap and the modern income levels has created a larger shortfall than the shrinking worker to recipient ratio. Fixing this one issue alone could secure the system for decades. Acting now prevents tougher choices later. Again, what are your thoughts on that? Leave a comment below. I know Social Security, I know taxes, I know legislation, and your party views can make a huge impact, and people get very emotional about that. But what are your thoughts on Social Security and a solution for it? What if we had kept that income tax cap the same, so it was 92% of earnings? Where would we be today? Imagine that. This wouldn't even be an issue. Social Security isn't broken. It just needs to adapt. With life expectancy rising, fewer workers per recipient, and fewer dollars because of the payroll tax cap that hasn't kept pace, small tweaks like raising the cap or adjusting benefits could easily secure its future. But the key is acting now. What do you think about the solutions? Should higher earners pay more to fix Social Security? Should everybody get a tax increase to secure Social Security? What is your opinion? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button. Hit the bell so you're notified of future videos. And I appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you next time on Simply Money.